theme is Pain Clinic. They're gonna have to design their website around that theme. Other than that, let's get this game started. Let's do the 10-second countdown. Alright, here we go. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it started, man. Let's do it. Alright. Yeah, so the game has started. Just so you know, the bot did point out that bets are closed for Zen Garden games. You know, we incorporated that because, you know, most of our bets now are actually revolved around objectives as opposed to just straight up design, you know, who wins in design and who wins in functionality and all that good stuff. So that creates a more balanced and unbiased betting system. You know, we don't want people just voting on their team just because they betted towards them, whether or not that team was good or bad. So that's our resolution to that, is we're focusing on the objectives. But yeah, so next game we're going to have a classic. That's going to be a 3v3, and that's when bets are open. You can put your dev bits down and go hard or go home. So I want to see a lot of you guys go all in today. You got to put all in. There is an achievement for that too. So there are no objectives for Zen Garden. So I know that's a bit misleading to see objectives there and the text objectives and nothing under it. It's all good. You know, I'm going to refresh the blue team's code a little bit for a second here, because it is not, the gutter is, it looks like that fixed it. Wonderful. Yeah, all it needed was a simple refresh. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on. So on the blue team, it looks like they're going pretty ham right now. They got the asterisk, so the all selector, and they're giving everything on the website margin 0, padding 0, and border box. I'm going to skip the song real quick. Alright, so margin 0 and padding 0 is essentially going to reset everything that the browser adds by default. So that's wonderful. That's always a common thing to see here on DevWars or in any web design project, really. Also, that box sizing border box, honestly, I feel like that should be added by default. Let me know how you feel about box sizing border box. Do you add it on everything, or is it just me? Well, I know it's not just me. It's me and blue team right now. On the red team, however, they got that H1 centered, that's for sure. Like, that's what they got going on. It looks like, you know, not really much else. I mean, they could have easily did some more common stuff like the resets like we saw on the blue team. We didn't see very much of that at all. I mean, I don't know what he's doing at the moment. He might be analyzing the HTML document at the moment. I mean, there is quite a bit going on here. This is probably the most stuff we had going for a while. You what, mate? This guy just donated $100 right now. It's not even gonna read it. Great week for me. Got a job offer and now I am team lead. Good luck, DevWars. Hope you grow into something extremely huge and awesome. Waiting for Nami. Oh man. Praise you, man. Thank you so much for that $100 donation. That's so real. That is so real. Dude, you're the best. So yeah, that money is gonna go toward DevWars, all our hosting, all our running stuff, man. Yeah, it's pay to win, so you're automatically gonna win the next game you play. Just kidding. But yeah, shout out to 205th, this guy, and congratulations on that job, though. Yeah, everybody throw him hearts right now. Dude, this guy just dropped $100 on DevWars. That's what's up. The support on DevWars is just overwhelming. Like, the love is so great. I can't handle it. But yeah, so back to the game. I mean, that was a big topic for a moment there. Obviously, that was big. You gotta like stand back for a moment there. Dude, that guy. Thanks, man. Again, thank you so much. Okay, so now if we get back into the game here, you notice that blue team's going pretty hard. Like, if you like just stand back for a second and just think, they're on fire. Like, there's no doubt about it. You know, in the past, I used to have flames going on. I used to burn them, and, you know, we don't have that. If you guys miss those flames and the confetti, let me know. We'll try to bring them back. You know that confetti was pretty expensive, though. But, you know, if that's what you want, we'll make it happen. We'll drop the confetti on all the winners. Okay, so on the red team, however, it looks like they are for sure getting some colors on the anchor tags, and they don't want any text decoration, which is, I mean, in my opinion, I kind of feel on that, because I don't like text decoration on any of my anchor tags. I mean, it really depends on what kind of website you're doing, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't really want that. Dude, not gonna lie, red team's kind of getting wrecked at the moment, but you know, we're just gonna have to progress here. I mean, there's like only 6 minutes. 6 minutes went by. Like, that's not very much time, you know. Like, so we'll see. My sister misses the confetti, so I might bring it back just because my sister is kind of up there. You know, she's, you know, her opinion is very valuable. And Nez misses the spaghetti. I don't think I've ever had spaghetti on the show, man. But you know what? Maybe I did, and I forgot. Neo thinks red is dead. I mean, you know, I don't want to be quick to judge, though. I mean, only 7 minutes. 7 minutes passed by here. Actually, 6. No, I was right the first time. 6 minutes passed. You know, that's not very much time there. And for all we know, red could just be like planning out his entire schema for the rest of the game. Because I mean, like, look, if you look at this HTML, if you're following along with me on code.devwars.tv, you can see that this HTML is pretty ridiculous. Like, it's probably the most elaborate Zen Garden game that we've ever had. And so he's probably just examining it. And if you look on the red team right now, he's one of those guys. He adds all his properties on the same line. You know, we've seen this a couple times actually. You know, I don't know how they do it. I don't know, like, but one thing we have to understand is that, you know, on the screen you're viewing on is that you know, it's kind of small, but you know, they're playing on their own screens at home or their office or wherever they're at, and they probably have a wider screen so they can see way more of the properties, so it's probably easier for them to read. But still, in my opinion, I think it's easier to read the properties on their own line. Let me know in the chat how you write out your properties in CSS. But yeah, so we got some more styles going on. No resets on the red team. You know, he may want the default styles. I mean, I know some coders or stylers who actually work with the default properties that are added by the browser. Like, you know, I mean, that may be very well what red team is doing. We don't know. We'll just have to see what happens as the game progresses. But yeah, so I'm actually gonna reset or refresh the red team because you can see that a little bit of the first letter is cut off there, and normally a refresh helps. So let's go ahead and do this. And this is definitely Cloud9 that's doing this. You know, we wanna eventually move to our own platform, but you know, that's obviously in the future. That's, you know, down the road, but we got it in our hearts. So pretty much 8 minutes and 30 seconds just passed. It's all good. A lot of time for both teams. Now, let's take a look at the blue team for a moment. Like, again, okay, let's just evaluate what's happening here for a second. Gavin, he's played before, you know. I mean, you can see his rank is definitely a bit higher than red. He's played in a couple games here. He's kind of got the idea on how DevWars works. You know, 60 minutes may seem like a lot at first, but when you're actually playing the game, you slowly realize that 60 minutes is not a lot at all, and it goes by real quick. And I think Gavin understands that after a couple games of playing, and you know, he's making use of every time. He's making sure that not a single second is wasted. You can see he's constantly adding stuff, and that's the only way to really win on DevWars. You got to get everything in as fast as possible. And you can see he's even getting quite specific here on this selector. The specificity is nice, and actually the way the HTML document is set up, we want stuff like this to happen. We could have very well given classes for each and every particular element. For example, if we look at the HTML on the blue team, you can see that we have like anchor tags right here, for example, and this is what's happening. We have these anchor tags right there. They don't have any specific class names. What if you wanted that request an appointment to be like a button and the my portal to be like a standard looking link? Well, you'd have to do what this guy's doing right here, right? You know, like you'd have to target it in a specific way using CSS. So, I mean, we kind of wanted to encourage stuff like that, so, and that's what's happening, so can't argue with that. Also, on the blue team, they do have a custom font imported, and that is Open Sans, a very popular font. Awesome. And he did add that to everything right there, as we can see.
You scored 0.
But yeah, I mean, it's looking good. And, you know, I talk about this quite a few times. Fonts are super important on a website. Like, a lot of people or web designers who first start getting into web design don't really think about fonts because, like, you know, they're more focused on other elements of the page, and that's fine. But there is research to say, you know, and don't quote me on this, but it's a big number. Like 90% of web design is typography. That's big. That means fonts are important. That means like you should probably pay attention to the text, you know, not just the elements. Text is super important, believe it or not. Alright, so I think it's been a while since we actually looked at the website. I mean, we haven't even looked at it yet, so we're gonna take a look now. So let's take a look at the blue team's site. This is the blue team's website right now. Gavin, it looks like he got that info bar at the top there. He's got it blue. It looks good. He's got a navigation bar on its own line, and that is red. I think it looks good. I think the color scheme is quite interesting. We'll see where he goes with it. And you could even see when you hover over these things, well, just the info bar right there, you can get like a little hover effect, and that's pretty nice that he added that. So it looks like Gavin's just working in like the hierarchy orders of the HTML document, so he's just working from top to bottom, standard stuff. Sometimes we see people on DevWars even kind of all over the place, and sometimes that works. I want to look at the red team for a moment. If you guys notice, there is quite some interesting stuff happening here. I mean, it definitely looks different. I gotta give you that. I mean, he's definitely going with a whole different style. You know, he might make it happen. I mean, in the end, yeah, he might be slow compared to blue, but a lot of this depends on how it looks in the end. That's all that matters. And there's 46 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. So, I mean, if red team, like, takes, like, you know, if they're, like, slow as a turtle, but in the end, the website looks super fresh, I mean, man, that's all. That might even just put them in first place. But yeah, so it looks, I mean, it looks different, right? I mean, you got the blue team, you've seen that. They were kind of going with the whole info bar, full screen, full width, you know, to the left. Everything's centered on the red team. I mean, it looks super different. So we'll get back over to the code now. Oops. The misclicks are so real right now on this channel. I have a Razer Chroma keyboard, and I should probably start using these macros. I haven't set them yet, but I could use those macros to switch the scenes. I think that'd be pretty cool. But like, what's funny, real quick, is about the Chroma keyboard. I love it and everything. It's just, I got so used to just all keyboards in general. The control key being on the far left corner, and now the button on the far left corner is the M5 button, so the macro 5 button. And so whenever I'm trying to copy like stuff onto my clipboard, I would press M5X, for example, and it's pretty ridiculous. It's all a mental thing, and I'm trying to like relearn how to use a keyboard. Alright, so if you look on the blue team, it looks like they're going super ham as usual. We've seen this from the beginning of the game. Nothing new here. The specificity, though, like, I want you guys to note this for a moment. Like, he is being very specific. He's adding commas because he's adding the same styles on all of these targets he just selected here, and that's good. You know, when you're coding stuff, you never want to repeat yourself. I mean, that's the biggest rule in programming. If you ever find yourself typing in the same style well, we're talking about CSS right now. If you ever find yourself just typing in the same exact properties over and over again, even if it's twice, like, you probably should rethink the way you're selecting stuff. And to have all these selectors all wrapped up in one and all these properties added like that, it works out. I haven't really evaluated it yet to find out if this is necessary. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We'll look at the red team now. They got the whole all the properties on one line deal going on here. We'll see what they got. So starting at the top, it looks like we're given the HTML document a white smoke color on the background. That's cool. That is a CSS color that's available by default. On the header, we're just centering everything really, and we're adding padding top of 320 pixels. Alright, he changed it on me. So 30 pixels. I was like, man, 320 pixels, that's kind of big. But yeah, 30 pixels. So for him to change it from 20 to 30, you could tell he is paying attention to the details, and that's good. That kind of gives some reassurance that the red team knows what they're doing, because just attention to details. Something small as 10 pixels. Obviously, this guy wants his website to look a certain way. And then on the all selector, we're just changing all the fonts to Helvetica. So he's not importing any fonts that's not like already in the browser. I think that's quite interesting. He may just like Helvetica, or there's a couple things that might happen here. He may not know how to import fonts. He may not want other fonts like outside of what's inside of CSS already, or what's available to him. Or he's gonna get around to it later. We don't know. We'll have to see as we go along. Helvetica's not a bad font at all. Don't get me wrong. No hate on Helvetica. It's just, importing fonts is definitely a thing here on DevWars. So you can see he's working on the header a little bit here. I kind of have to scroll to the right just so you guys can see what he's doing. Yeah, he has padding, border, all that good stuff. We seen that earlier when we looked at the website. Down here, if you look, he just added this H2. He's probably gonna add it back in a moment here. Alright, I guess not. Well, anyways, we saw that H2 and he capitalized everything. Now I want you to note something. In the HTML, and we're looking on the red team right now. I'm scrolling through the HTML on the red team. If you look, this H2 is a bit screwed up, and it's not an accident by all means. If you look, this H2 is kind of like, if you want to keep it that way, it's you know, it's up to the designer if they like it, if they don't like it. But for those of you who don't know, like, if this may be your first time, if you aren't aware of the rules, you aren't allowed to touch the HTML in Zen Garden. I mean, you're only allowed to touch the language that you're affiliated with, and as you can see on the screen, all they're playing is CSS, so they cannot tamper with the HTML document. So they're just gonna have to know all of the CSS tricks they can possibly know in order to be resourceful and make the changes they want. Also, I do want to point out that and I don't know how to say his name. I'm gonna take a shot at it right now. Cafox? I'm gonna say Cafox. You know, it's his first time playing in DevWars. You know, he is doing an awesome job. I mean, I remember Gavin's first game. It was not too hot. I'm just kidding. Like, I honestly, like, I don't remember Gavin's first game. It's been a while. Like, I don't have that good of a memory. But I know, like, first time players though, it's hard, you know, it's hard. But it looks like Cafox is getting it down. He's getting it down. I mean, as we go along, you can see he's making more progression. He's kind of getting the hang of it. You can tell. I mean, and I think a lot of the beginning time was, you know, spent on evaluating and analyzing the HTML document. Again, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff in here, you know, like, it makes sense. Would you look at that? It looks like Cafox is putting all his properties on one line now. I like that. It's easier for me to read, and I'm sure it's easier for you guys to read. You know, he doesn't have to do that, though. Like, he can do whatever he wants. We don't want to constrict them on how to make their code look or anything. And down here, you can see Cafox added a comment saying, got a bit of a block on what to work on. So he had a bit of a coding block. This is what that is, a coding block. Oh. Okay, it's like caffeine and fox, so Cafox. Okay, Cafox. I got it. Now, does Cafox have a lot of friends or something? Like, a lot of people are correcting me in the chat, so I'm just imagining you guys are his friends and you're supporting him. I mean, Cafox might even be a girl, and I'm just totally assuming things here. I don't know. Alright, so let's take a look at the blue team now. Down here, this is his most recent thing, and he's styling the anchor element inside of the info bar. And so, I mean, just if we scroll up and down here, it looks like what we find is that blue team is still on the hierarchy level. He's still working on the header, and you know, that's 1/3 of the website right there. I mean, we're about 1/3 into the yeah, we spent about 1/3 of the game right now, so I mean, I'd say he's on track. Man, he's going hard though. Let's take a look at the websites right now. You guys hopefully remember what the sites looked like before. We're gonna look at the blue team now. This is what the blue team site looks like. I mean, honestly, I don't notice too much of a difference other than the fact that we got this plus button. Okay, we definitely have some hover effects on these navigation links. They weren't there before. I do remember that. It looks like he added the hover effect on these two. It used to be like a dark blue color, and I think it made more sense on the info bar. But we'll see if this was an accident or if that's exactly what he wanted. Now, the call button is, or the call information there is a bit off. I mean, there's different ways to handle it. We'll see if he's gonna put any attention to it, or if that's the least of his worries right now. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys something. So if we look here, I'm gonna bring up the inspect element for a second. If we inspect this element, you can see that we don't have okay, the only styles we have on this span is the line height. If we let's just remove that for a second here, and I'm gonna show you guys something. So on the anchor tags, these right here, you can see that what Gavin has done is he added padding on the top and bottom, and so he also added line height too. Let's just remove the line height for a moment here. Actually, he didn't add padding to the top and bottom. That was line height on the just on the anchor tag. That was what was given the space. My bad. But anyways, I'm gonna show you guys something. So okay, there is padding on the top and bottom, and that's added by this right there. I didn't see that inheritance, but essentially the best way to center stuff, really, if you're in this situation, I'm gonna show you guys. You could either do line height on the actual info bar. You can do that. For example, let's add line height of 30 pixels. Not 300 pixels. Holy crap. Yeah, so that works, right? You can do this, and it'll center all you want. You can also add padding on the parent. Again, on the parent, you can add a padding of 20 pixels, for example, on the top and bottom, and that'll center it as well. So just some friendly tips. He's doing a great job. You know, there's a lot going on. He's probably going to get around to it here. We'll see what he decides to go with. And take a look. I just refreshed the site, and let's see what he decided to do here. Oh man. Okay, so if we inspect the element, we can see on the info bar, I can't even see what he did. We'll take a look back at his code. But he did get that centered, and you can tell he's actually working on the hero right now. That's good. So he's definitely working top to bottom. He's got that background image in there. It looks like, you know, just the moment I refresh, like the background image is repeating. He's probably going to add a background size cover to that just to make sure it does fill up the entire width of the screen there. Another thing I want to point out is that there is no like padding on the inner at all on the blue team right now. Let's actually take a look at the red team site now. I think it's been a while since we took a look there. Alright, so you know, it doesn't look too much different from when we last saw it. Now you can see that there is a bit of spacing right there. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but there is definitely, I'm going to zoom in right there, and that's added because of the default properties that are added by the browser. He's never reset. Yeah, and we saw on the blue team that all they did was add margin 0 and padding 0, and like I said, that does reset all the settings or all the spacing on the browser. So we didn't see any of that. Maybe he wants it, you know, we don't know. Over here you can see we do have this bullet point, and that's because the navigation here is a UL, so it's an unordered list, and by default we are going to get that bullet point, so he has to remove that with the list style none property in order for that bullet point to go away. But he did make all this either inline block or float left. Let's see what he did here. It looks like he went with here, let's look at his actual code. Well, we're gonna go back over to the code right now, but real quick, I just want to point out, not too much going on here on the red team yet. I mean, I don't know if these hover effects were there or not. He does have transition on these hovers, by the way. it is there. And not on this button, not sure why. It looks like all he has to do is probably add a comma to whatever selector he used here and just add this selector, and he'll apply the same exact style, unless he wants something different, of course. Yeah, but anyways, let's go back over to the code now. Alright, we're gonna start with the blue team. So the blue team, we did see earlier that they were working on that, you know, the hero. And I mean, without even looking at the website, I can tell that they've made a lot of progress since we last seen the site. And you guys can totally follow along with me, you know, in your own browser by typing watch red or watch blue. Make sure all your commands are followed by the exclamation point in front of everything. But yeah, so you know, you can tell a lot is happening here. I mean, he did add that no repeat, and he centered the background, and he even added that cover background size cover like I was speaking about earlier. And that's going to make sure that everything, well, the background image that he's using is, you know, full blown, perfectly using up the amount of space that the screen is. So it's definitely a good thing he put that there. He did also put a define height on that hero, so we are going to see a define height. Let's see what he did with the inner now. So, because when he's using a define height, it is going to make the whole centering thing an issue. But if you look on the inner, he is using position absolute and the whole translate trick. And this is going to center it. That's a little CSS trick to center it. Another way to do it is to have your height not be defined in the parent and just add padding top and bottom, and that's going to ensure that you have even spacing on the top and bottom, and it'll look centered. And adding padding also extends the background too, so that's like a dual purpose. I mean, there's many different ways you could do it. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing here. And then you could even see that he's working on the, you know, I refreshed the site on my end. The button looks really good. He's got that H2's first letter capitalized. And the rest of the H2 lowercase. That's very cool. Wow. So, essentially, on the blue team, what he did here was he lowercased everything first, and then he's just capitalizing by adding this second style. I mean, that's pretty cool. I like what he did there. That's interesting. Let's take a look at the red team now. So right now he's working on the H3 tag. He did have that paragraph tag open, so that is obviously a hint that he's going to add some properties there in the future. He's got the nth of type, and it looks like he didn't want that. He's getting rid of it. I mean, I think that's a good choice for a moment there. I think if he wants to add nth of type, he should probably add that as a second selector, because you probably want to add all your general styles towards H3 in its own selector, you know, of just H3. But you know, I don't know what Fox is doing at the moment. We're just gonna have to go along. Maybe he doesn't need to do what I said. I also think it's quite funny how Fox has, you know, his CSS kind of styled differently. Like, I mean, he has everything all inline, up above button, and below it, it's just kind of like this button is all the properties are on its own line. And you know, I don't know. I just think that's kind of funny. So maybe it's because the button has more than the amount he wanted. Not sure. But yeah, I mean, some people code this way. We've seen it a couple times where everything is in one line. This song's weird. that song. 2 weird songs in a row. Alright, let's take a look at the blue team and the red team right now. So we're going to start with the blue team's website. Alright, so I think a lot of progress has been made actually since we last looked at this. So the hero definitely stands out. I mean, this wasn't here before when we last looked at the site. We did see it in the code, but we didn't see it. We've never seen this yet. And it's beautifully centered. We have this awesome button. It looks like a hero. I mean, the background image is definitely related to the industry of a pain clinic, and it looks great. Down here, we have meet your providers. He's working on that right now. Let's see if I refresh. Okay, if I just refresh, and we're getting this. Let's actually inspect the element real quick. I want to see what he's doing. So how does he have these images lined up? Okay, it looks like he's going with the float method. Okay, so he's floating everything. And the reason why this is showing up like this is because he didn't clear. And that's kind of one of the sucky things about floating stuff, is that you're going to break the flow of the page until you actually clear it. So he's probably going to do that now or soon here. But essentially, it looks like what he's wanting ideally is he wants these images to kind of like float and stuff. And then this blue bar, this obnoxious blue bar, he wants it on its own line, and that's hinted by this display block. So I know what he's trying to do. It'll take a moment for him to actually make it happen. What about the red team? Let's see what they have done here. Now, if we look at the red team, unfortunately, you know, since we last looked at it, I can honestly tell you it looks exactly the same to me. He's definitely going to have to step it up. You know, he doesn't have as many properties as blue team, but he can still, like, you don't need a lot of properties to make your site look good. You can, if you have an eye for design, you can do the little as you can to actually make your site look good, because that's all that matters, really. We're not voting on code per se, we're just voting on what looks good to the eye. So if hopefully Caffeine on the red, or Fox on the red team, doesn't get discouraged by the fact that he doesn't have as much lines of code, you know, but he can focus on how he wants the site to look, what he thinks people will like, and that could eventually put him into first place if he keeps that mindset. And I just refreshed just to see if anything's changed. You know, we did notice actually, and it only works a few times when I refresh. You can see there is a bit of an animation almost, like these buttons just kind of like swoop in there. Hopefully he hasn't put too much time into that. I mean, it looks great, but you know, that might not even be in an animation. That might just be a transition, and it just triggered funny when I refresh, because it's not doing it every time I refresh. It's just when I kind of spam it. And you can see he still hasn't even removed that list style right there. Fox, I mean, you got it, man. Don't be discouraged. There's 22 minutes on the clock. You can still make it happen. I've seen it before. You know, we've seen turnarounds. Alright, so on the blue team, we're looking back at the code now. And you can see that on the blue team, they have quite a number of properties on this anchor tag. Actually, so much that it looks like he even had to split it up a little bit. Right there. I don't know if this was an accident or if he did that on purpose to kind of help his, you know, thought process a little bit. And it looks like he is now starting on that footer. So, and as we know, if you looked at the code yourself, the footer is the last major component of the HTML. So, it looks like blue team is kind of getting close to finishing, you know, their overall style. Now, the footer isn't so simple this time. There's actually quite a bit of stuff here. I mean, I'm gonna take a look at the HTML for a second, and we're gonna use the red teams to look at the HTML. So on the red team, you can see that down here in the footer, this right here, I'm highlighting it. We have this region. We have two region divs. So we have this one, and we have this one. And you know, they could make it on its own line. They could make it a 2-column thing. We'll see what they do. But you know, given the fact that this location region right there is hinting at the fact that it's an image, we'll see what they do with it. I mean, they could do whatever they want. The name of the classes only suggests stuff. They could totally be creative and blow us away, or they could even be lazy and do display none if they don't want that. But that might hurt their design points, because you guys, I will point it out first off that they did that, and you guys, you know, will take it into your own opinion on what you think about that, if it was a legitimate design choice or if it was just pure laziness, and that'll reflect on their score. So we'll see what they do. On the blue team, we're gonna start looking at the blue team, what they're doing, and then we're actually gonna move over to the red and see what they've been up to. So on the blue team, it looks like they are working on that list item now in the inner. In the inside of the footer, and they're making all the list items display inline block, and they're even giving it a width, and they're using the calc function. So and the calc function is very useful to have a responsive design, but the ability to at the same time incorporate pixels into your responsive design, and that's the way to do it. I mean, you can see he's dividing the width by 5. So essentially, I mean, he didn't even have to do the math there like that. He could have just said 20%. So let's just look at this as 20%. So essentially, he's saying, sorry, is it 20%? Yeah, it is. I don't know why. I'm one of those people who open up a calculator for like simple stuff just cause like I don't trust myself. It's a bad habit. But so he's taking 20% and he's subtracting 20 pixels from all of those list items, and you can see here he's compensating that with that margin. So essentially what he's doing is he's spacing out. He wants a 5-column list with those list items. You know, and he's gonna have 10 pixels in between them. That's all that is. And I love how specific he's being here. Actually, he's got he's centering it. He's giving it a line height that's gonna center it vertically, and he's giving it a background color. He's giving it a font color. Man, he's transitioning it. He's giving it a cursor pointer. I mean, he's adding all kinds of properties to it. That's super cool. What about the red team? Let's give the red team some love now. So they're working on the header up here. So I expected something down here, but it looks like we're going up here now. And I think the ordering is interesting on the red team. I mean, there's definitely some stuff I can see that might make more sense in a different order. Actually, maybe it's just one thing. Well, maybe two. The all selectors generally at the top. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, from the way CatFox is using his styles doesn't matter so much. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but generally the all selectors at the top of everything. But we see here on the header, that's what he or she is working on at the moment. And we did see quite a bit of code actually just got deleted there. But anyways, we have a background repeat, no repeat, and I actually don't know what background he's talking about at the moment, but he might be actually pulling a background image from the internet. That might have been what he deleted. I actually forgot what was there, but you know, he might put a background image in that header and just have it no repeat. Also, I do want to note there is 16 minutes left in this game. There is going to be another game after this, It's gonna be a 3v3, what we call our classic game mode, and that's where it goes down. And we have 5 objectives. So there's objectives in there now, and everybody's on TeamSpeak. It gets pretty crazy. So, anyways, if that sounds fun to you, if you want to play in HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, go ahead and go over to our website. Register if you don't have an account. Sign up for the game you got to sign up for the classic game, not the Zen Garden, because that's the one we're playing right now. Sign up for the classic game, and one of our mods will get to you. Potato said, my friends are too afraid to code, so when the teams come out, that's going to be a problem for me. Well, the best way I would recommend to alleviate that nervousness is to watch one of our past broadcasts and just open up your own C9 environment with your friends and just kind of code along. Act like you're playing in the game, you know, look at when I count down, you know, once that 60-minute countdown goes on, actually code along with that countdown and see how well you perform in the end. Even though you're not actually playing on DevWars, it's just a great way to kind of give your mind some, you know, rest, and maybe you might even do really good, and that might prove to you right there. So, just some tips. That's also a great tip for any of you other viewers who are wanting to play and are just nervous. I mean, it's a normal feeling. I've had someone tell me before their hands were shaking during the game. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. I mean, people are watching. A lot of people are watching. So. Hey, Hef. I'm glad you're enjoying watching this. I know a lot of you guys are enjoying this, so that excites me. That's why I'm excited. 13 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. We're going to actually look at the websites now. We're going to look at the blue team right now and see what's happening. So we can see the providers here are just kind of CVS and Walgreens, back and forth, back and forth. We got the view full list here. I think it's pretty cool what he's doing here with the footer. It's not what I imagine in my head, but you know, you could take it anywhere you want. So with the footer, it looks like and now I'll have to bring up the inspect element and drag it down a little bit just so I can scroll down more so you guys can see the rest of it. But down here on the footer, all the paint treatments, he made it like a button, and the location, he used an image for the map. It's all looking good, and I think the spacing on the list item here that I'm hovering over right now, the treatments, I think that looks great, all thanks to the calc function. Super cool. Alright, what about the red team now? Hopefully we go back there and see something different. Alright guys, you know, this is not looking too hot right now for Fox, because it looks the same since we last seen it. You know, I don't see anything majorly different. We still even have that list style right there, that little bullet point. We have 12 minutes essentially back on the clock. I mean, on the clock. I don't know why I said back on the clock. It's only ever been there once. But yeah, I mean, so it's on there, and we'll see what it can do. He might be able to make it happen. We don't know. So let me know in the chat, guys. Do you think it's GG, or do you think Cat Fox can? What if he's just acting like he doesn't know what he's doing or anything? Like he's just, you know, typing slow and stuff, but in the last 5 minutes his site looks super majestical. He may do that. I don't know. But I mean, 11 minutes, yeah, it's not a lot of time, but really, I mean, you probably could do a lot of stuff in 11 minutes though. Alright, back to full screen, the code. So we're gonna actually bust out the puppy cam though, We're gonna bring out Nami. She's a celebrity over here. I know a lot of you guys love Nami. And I'm gonna bring her out because we are at that 10-minute countdown. And so, hashtag Nami, boys. Incoming, boys. Incoming. It's Nami. I totally woke her up from her nap. She was totally chilling. And now she's here. And you can tell how much she wants to be here right now. Like, she loves it. She's loving the cam. She's loving it. This is generally where the donates start coming in. This is generally where we start getting the love. But yeah, so yeah, she's pretty. We got her like 3 weeks ago. I'm training her to be my back end developer. She wants to learn PHP. She's more of a PHP girl. And yeah, I mean, I think she should go with Java. You know, it's pretty advanced language right there. But you know, I'm gonna leave it up to her. So. Alright, Nami, I'm gonna let you go back to bed. Say bye to the peoples. Alright. Alright, yeah. She said bye. Okay, guys. That was the puppy cam. That was the puppy cam. Nami is the next DevWars host. It's very possible. And I'm actually very nervous of that day because, you know, I don't want that to happen, man. I mean, I want to be the host. We are actually, speaking of hosts, we actually are planning to get another host up on here. And we're thinking about Bo. A lot of you guys know Bo. He's our public relations guy, and he does a great job, by the way. But yeah, we might get Bo over here, and he has an awesome accent. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's the truth. I've always wondered, do British people like, or English people rather, do they make fun of like American accents? Let me know in the chat. Like, do they ever like speak like how I'm doing and they all laugh and giggle? Like, cause like, I mean, I could like, you know, make a English accent. I'm not gonna do it now because everybody says I'm bad at it, you know. But, you know, I could probably get some laughs though out of it. And I don't know. I don't know how it is. I asked Bo this question because he lives in the UK and he was like, "That's stupid. We would never do that." Some people are saying yes, they do. Wow, really? That's pretty funny. I wish I grew up in the United Kingdom. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I talked like that. I feel like you guys would probably like me more. I used to run off coffee. I'm still about that coffee life. Actually, what you guys don't know is I'm on the DL. Like, don't tell anybody. I'm trying to build up my. I'm trying to lower my tolerance. Like, you know, caffeine. Kind of like I was drinking it every single day, and it didn't work out for me anymore. I'm like, man, I'm drinking so much coffee right now. It doesn't even do anything. And so I'm kind of laying off of it for a while, and then I'm gonna come back, and it's gonna come in hot. I'm just gonna be like, whoa, coffee is working for me again. But I mean, we'll see. And I go hard too. I go to Starbucks and I ask for like 9 espresso shots. They're like, man, we don't even know about that life. And I'm like, you wouldn't understand. Anyways, we're going back to the blue team, and we're looking over here. It looks like they're working on the map. They're working on the map. You know, I think he even had that image in there before. I don't know. Let's take a look at the red team, because dude, like, to be honest, not much has changed. I did notice like something small. We're actually gonna look at the red team in particular right now, and I don't generally look at the websites like so close to the end of the game, because I want it to be a surprise, because so much can change in the end of the game. But anyways, we're looking at the red team right now, and you can see probably the biggest thing that we see different is that he added this carrot right there, and so a right arrow. And he probably did that with a before pseudo. We're gonna look back at the code. I mean, that's probably what he had to do, because, you know, how else would he do it? We still got that bullet point though. I mean, like, there's no way he wants that bullet point to stay there. I mean, there's no way. We'll find out. We'll find out. And that hero, though, let me know what you guys think. I mean, we're also going to have to look back at the code and see. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, did he set display none on the other stuff? But he didn't. It's that he added, like, all these padding and like background color and all that stuff to this, as opposed to the hero, which is the parent container. It's better to add the back here. I'm gonna show you guys right now. Actually, I'm gonna inspect the element. So I do want this stream to be like educational too. I want you guys to learn stuff. So if we go over here, you can see on the H1 tag he added all these properties. He got the background color. I'm gonna actually remove that by unchecking it. I'm gonna uncheck all this actually. I'll show you guys something. So if we go on the inner, actually we could just go on the hero. So on the hero, we could add the background color of white like he had earlier, and add a text align center like he had, and he could just add padding top of like 20 pixels. And I mean, right there you got, okay, we got some extra space on the H1 tag though, but other than that, we got to remove that. I mean, that's because he didn't remove all the default, he didn't reset. So you know, all we have to do is add padding 0 on the H1 and margin 0. I mean, right there you can see like we got something similar going on. And obviously you don't have to do white. You could do like, you could do a different color, or you could even pick a different background image. Alright, 1 minute and 40 seconds. We're gonna actually okay, I refreshed the page. It looks like he went with a different color there. That's a pretty sexy color. It's like a, I don't know, it's pretty nice. Anyways, we're gonna go back to the code, and we're just not gonna look at the websites anymore, because I do like keeping it a surprise. Down here, blue team did start working on their media queries, which is gonna give them points on the functionality phase, and that is where, you know, that is another voting phase in the so we have design and functionality. And functionality in Zen Garden is where you vote on responsive design. So how well does the website handle like different resolutions? For example, 45 seconds left on the clock. Who's hype right now? Let me know in the chat by typing hashtag I'm hype in the chat. You know, I just made up that hashtag. Actually, go to Twitter right now, and you guys should really like tweet us out. Like, it would help us so much. If you have a Twitch channel and you got some followers and stuff. I already seen some people host us, but we would really appreciate it if you type /host on your channel and then added DevWars. That will definitely help us out. People are typing Nami hype. Techno, man. I already pulled out Nami, dude. Like, you probably showed up late, huh? Alright, 5, 3, 2, 1. It's over. Dude, like, the time ran out so quick. I don't even know. We're talking about Nami, we're talking about the hype, and just the time ran out, and I don't even know what to say. This music is making me feel so emotional. Like, I'm gonna have to skip it. Alright, so the game is obviously over right now. I just want to look real quick. How many lines of code do we have on the blue team? 265 lines of code. Man, okay, so one thing I want to point out is that, yeah, he has 265 lines of code, but another thing on the red team, I mean, he put everything on one line, so it doesn't really mean anything. Like, he has 55 lines of code, but he could very easily have, like, you know, added a bunch of stuff like this, and he could have added something like P over here and just like color red, right? And that would have been like 78 lines of code right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to prove a point. But anyways, so their documents are locked, so they can't make a change or anything. We're gonna look at the. Keep in mind, we're gonna be voting on design here shortly. I'm gonna be reviewing the blue team, and then I'm gonna review the red team, and then I'm gonna open up their design poll, and you guys are gonna be able to vote by typing !blue or !red. So we're gonna look at the blue team, and yes, this was Fox's first game, so you know, give him a break. I mean, it's the first game. He's got some mad courage to step up to the plate. You got it, man. You did a good job. I mean, 60 minutes, really, it's not a lot of time. It's not. It takes a while to make this. And I mean, the fact that, you know, they can't touch the HTML document, that's another thing. Anyways, we're gonna look at the blue team site. So this is the final site. They got the call us at, you know, whatever number. I want to point out, it doesn't look like we have any styles in here. Hang on, before I point out my finger and stuff. Yeah, so on the inner, it doesn't look like we have any like defined width, and like we're centering it, but we don't have a defined width, so it's not really centering it. We have the text align center. Do we? I don't even see it. So, but yeah, so that's something to note. You see that this call us button is all the way to the left. I am critiquing super hard. I'm gonna do this on both sides. I'm not just giving blue a hard time. It's all the way to the left. Touching that, I mean, you generally want to have some space. We have you know, hover effect over here and stuff. We got the logo as a plus button. I mean, that is a standard universal logo for health. I mean, it makes sense. Cool, we got that. We got hover effects. We do have transition and stuff, so that's cool that he added all that. Down here we have transition on these buttons as well. We have a beautiful hero image. It's stretched, it's covered, and everything. It's all good. It looks great. I mean, generally, for those of you who don't know, a hero is like the main thing you want your viewers to see. It's generally above the fold, and you want your viewers to click the call to action button, which is this button right here. that's essentially the main button you want them to click. And I mean, I think he's done a great job by use of color and stuff. I mean, the background image that he selected was very great. The background is very desaturated, and it makes the color of the font stand out. It's white against a kind of a darker background. It's not super dark, but it's dark enough to where it's legible. So good on that. And also, I want to point out that manage your pane. Actually, never mind. Down here, this meet our providers right here. This was all kind of screwed up in the HTML, but he fixed that by using CSS. He made everything lowercase, and then he's created another selector to make the M uppercase. So that's pretty cool. And then he added the CVS and Walgreens. It's kind of alternating like that. He probably did the whole even. I don't remember with his code, but he probably did even, or he even selected it individually, but I doubt it. But yeah, so he's got that. We do have like a bit of spacing to the right. I bet that's like something he didn't want. Like I bet he wanted it to be like perfectly spaced out and stuff. So we do have this centered. It used to be all the way to the left. It is center now. I think that's a great choice. We do see the same thing over here. We have some spacing over to the right. And down here at the bottom, we have the location of the map. We have a map image and stuff. The spacing is better now. It used to not have so much spacing there, but the spacing is good. Alright, so that is the blue team. We just looked at the blue team. We're going to look at the red team now. So, red team, this is Fox's first game. So, he did keep up pretty good. So, right off the bat, you can see he has a different style. I mean, he went with a whole different look. He has everything, like, centralized as opposed to, like, to the far left or to the far right. So, he has this info bar right here. He has the call link like blacked out. I mean, I think that's a good design choice considering the fact that the call number is like important to a business. So that's good that he paid attention to that. And then he has this navigation bar down here like centralized as well. He does have this list style, this bullet point right there. It's been there for a while. He hasn't gotten rid of that. Generally, you don't want that when you're going with this kind of style. I mean, if you're using a UL tag and you're wanting everything to be inline, generally it wouldn't make sense actually to have that bullet point. I doubt that he wanted that there. This is supposed to be, everything that I'm highlighting here is supposed to be the hero. He went about it a different way. He had the manage your pane in centered, and then, you know, not so much attention over here. He did add transitions too, just like the blue team. Like when you hover over, we get this beautiful transition. It looks good. I would say everything down here is unstyled, other than the fact that he added a before pseudo to all these heading tags to include that caret, the right arrow to the, you know, to the right before it. So other than that, everything else is kind of unstyled. We are using the Helvetica font. Also, I want to point out that this is the way that the HTML looks like by default. We pointed out on the blue team that they did fix that by using, like, you know, by lowercasing everything and then uppercasing that first letter. I have to critique both websites, like, unbiasedly, and that's what I did here exactly. So now I'm going to open up the design votes now, so you guys are going to be able to vote on the blue or red. So what design is you have to just vote, like, what looks good to you, like, visually. So please open the design poll right now. One of my mods. Alright, we got it open right now, so vote blue or red, and you have to add an exclamation point in front of it in order for your vote to register. So the votes are coming in. There were no bets on Zen Garden. For those of you who are just popping in, I do want to announce that, you know, betting on Zen Garden games are not allowed anymore because we're kind of wanting everything to be more objective oriented towards the bets, so it's not biased. We don't want people voting on the blue team if that's what they voted or betted on, for example, on the classic game mode. If the blue team, for example, was bad, you know, like they wouldn't have voted on the blue team if they hadn't bet on them. So, but anyways, we got 26 votes on the blue team so far and 9 votes on the red. You know, we did cross that threshold. And I'm going to look at the blue team right now to show you guys. I mean, you guys should be following along with me. So this is the blue team site. I'm just going to scroll through it a little bit. For those of you who are just now showing up, this is the blue team site. And let's look at the red team site. You know, that's what it is. So I am going to keep it on the red screen just because obviously blue team has favoritism. So I'm going to give the red team a bit of some screen time. 30 seconds left to vote. Blue team did cross that threshold that you see there indicated by that white line. So that means that they are going to get that 2 points. If red team is able to cross that threshold, then it'll break even. But it didn't happen. 10 seconds left. It looks like it's about to be over. This is not an advertisement for Coca-Cola. Oh man. I have my friends over. They're chilling over to the left. They're watching me. It's pretty awkward for me. Not gonna lie. They're like, what is this guy doing? Anyways, blue team did win on the design phase. So congratulations, blue team. We're gonna open it up to now functionality. And before we open up the functionality vote, oh, it's all good. Go ahead and vote for functionality. You know, I'm not gonna lie. That was my fault. Don was listening to me very carefully there, and I think he did a great job by listening to me. But anyways, go ahead and vote for functionality. I'm gonna real quick, you know, review stuff. So functionality is essentially what it looks like. So right now on the Apple iPhone 6, that's what we're looking on. This is what the site looks like on the Apple iPhone 6 using the Google Chrome emulator. You can see this is what it looks like on the blue team. We're gonna look at the red team now. Take a look at the red team. Oh man, the red team though. Alright, we're gonna open this up. We're gonna refresh. This is what the red team site looks like on the iPhone 6. I know for a fact they didn't add any media queries, so everything on the red team is solely gonna depend on how they wrote their CSS in the first place. And we have some overlapping issues and stuff on the red team. We're gonna go back over to the blue team just to remember what that looked like. You know, we don't see any overlapping per se. Things could be a bit like, I don't know. I mean, obviously blue team did focus on their media queries. They did make sure they added that, so that's big. That's super big. And it looks like blue team is definitely crossing that threshold too. So I can't believe I spilled like Coke on this button up. I have to wash it for no reason now. Actually, there is a reason. I spilled Coke on it. But it didn't have to be that way. Alright, 10 seconds left to vote here. Let's look at the red team again. Well, actually, they cleared everything. So my mods cleared everything, so that's why nothing's in there. But you guys got the gist. Okay, we're gonna... okay, so obviously blue team won that. They did cross the threshold on the functionality as well. And that's only because it was kind of uncompetitive there because blue team did add media queries, which is definitely a part of functionality. So they added that. You know, red team had kind of a lot to work on before, you know, before they even got a chance to that. So anyways, this is the total score right here. We got 4 points on the blue team, 0 points on the red. Kifox, you still did an awesome job. You know, this is your first game. We all know that. You kept up. You did a good job. I mean, again, there is a lot of pressure on that 60 minutes. Not a lot of time. You handled it very well, I think, compared to a lot of people on their first game.